Hi and welcome back to Model Maniacs. Today we're going to do a silicone mold for gravity casting, and for that we need a few items. We need a Lego brick plate, we need Lego bricks, we need modeling clay that doesn't contain water, that's important, and we need a few tubes to work the clay with, and we also need the master that we're going to cast from. So this is going to be copied in a silicone mold, and this particular part here is the bottom of a Cylon rated base star from Monogram. Okay, so we begin with building a box that will fit this one. So if we move along like this, place it down, and then we just build around this one so that we get a box shape around it. And I think we should solve this problem quite easy. Lego bricks are always interesting to work with. You can feel like a child again. That's very good. Well, we should see if we can make it be enough here. We can take that away like that. Then we put this one there, put that one over there, number 4 there, and a 3 there, and a 3 there. So, as you can see, we now have a box for the casting, but we can't just put it down in here because the bottom here is not flat, and if it's not flat, the silicone rubber will go on the inside too. So we have to fill the bottom with modeling clay. So we fill the bottom with modeling clay like this. Press it down. If you want, you can warm the clay up in the oven 40 degrees Celsius for a few minutes, and it will be much easier to work with. But I don't have an oven down here, so I have to work with the clay instead. Just put it down like this. To make a gravity mold like this is the simplest way to make a silicone mold, because it means that the polyurethane or the resin that you are casting is just, with the help of the gravity, is filling up the cavity for the detail that you're copying. There are many different types of casting, of course, that are much more complicated, but we begin with this easy one so that we can start somewhere and then work up. And I will give you information on every type of casting that we can find in time. And of course all my work here is available on YouTube under the Model Maniacs. So I hope you will go in there and see what I'm doing, and there you can get many answers for your questions. Like that. Now we have filled the box with modeling clay, but we have to even it out, and then we use this tool, simple tool of wood, quite easy to obtain. You can make them yourself or you can buy them cheaply, but it has to be from wood, because then the modeling clay won't stick to it. Make sure that you even out it. I have to use that one instead. Even out the clay like this, and as you can see, it's a quite easy and fast way to make your own mold boxes. It hasn't taken many minutes to do this one. Lego bricks is by far the best way to make your own boxes. Otherwise you can use plastic and hot glue or melt glue perhaps, but I prefer Lego bricks and modeling clay. If you also make a two-part mold, then you also have to use modeling clay for the two parts. But this is this one if you are making a gravity mold. So we're almost done here now. We should make it a little bit more even. There will be some leakage from the Lego bricks, of course, because they are not entirely proof of leakage, but that will be controllable and there won't be any major loss of material like that. Okay, now we have the we should just even it out a little bit more so that it will be horizontal. That is very important when we are casting, then that it is horizontal. That. Now it's horizontal, yes. And then we just take our master like this, put it down in, make sure that it does not touch the edges of the box. Like that. Yes. That will be a nice casting box. Sure. Now we can see here that the material here, that material here is going up through the edges right here, so that there won't no material on the back side on this one. I don't know if you can see it here, but it's like that. Yes, it's a quite easy way. So the molding box is ready, and it didn't take many minutes to do this one, but this one is ready for casting now. I should just mix the material now, and then I will be back again like that. I think we are done here. Looks really nice actually. I have to control the modeling clay a little bit more perhaps. Take this one to do that. Now it seems that it is perfect. Yes. Like that. Here we are. Now this molding box is ready for casting. And I'll be back in 5 minutes tops. Thank you. Hi, now we have completed our molding box, and then we are going to measure up our material, and we are using an ordinary digital scale for that. It's the simplest way, but any scale will do actually. But it's quite important that you use the right amount. This is a silicone rubber mix 10:1, and we're going to mix 100 grams of silicone rubber with 10 grams of hardener. This material here is not classified as hazardous, but I recommend you using gloves because this is very sticky, and it's hard to wash off if you get it on your fingers. But now I will show you how to mix this stuff. Just pour it in like this. I don't know if you can see that. I hope so. Make sure everything goes in there. And this is the reason why I use red bricks for my Lego bricks, because then you won't see the contamination by the silicone so well on it. There we go, almost done. Like this. just a little lift in there, like that. Okay, so, and we're ready to go. We will now stir this very well. We will remove the scale so it ain't in the way when we're working with it. And I will instead have a piece of towel, because this is going to be sticky. Like that. And we stir this. It's very important to mix it thoroughly so that you will get the silicone mixed in with the hardener, because otherwise you will get a casting here that ain't hardened, and then it's very difficult to get the unhardened silicone away from the master, and you will have quite some work to do. But if you do this correctly, this will be perfect mix, and you will not have any problem with the hardening of it. Like that. Now there are some things that you have to remember when you do this type of casting, and that is that you can't just pour the material onto it. That would give you a very bad result in your casting. There will be air bubbles trapped and so on and so on. So when we now have mixed this one, what we're going to do now, if you can see this here, place it right, like that. That would be perfect. What we're going to do now is we're going to take an old brush. We're going to take an old brush, move this down here like that. We're going to take an old brush and first of all brush it, the master, with this mixture, and we are going to look through that every little nucky and crumb here is filled with this mixture. This is called pre-casting, because here you lay the first layer of silicone on the master. It means that you are able to fill in every little detail and removing all bubbles with your old brush. Remember that this brush will be discarded. You cannot clean this brush. Continue like this. Now it looks very nice actually. There are air bubbles coming up. You can just take them away with the brush. Like this. This is actually the simplest way to make a casting, as I told you before, but it's very useful. You can do almost every casting you need with this type of casting. But it's important to do it correctly from the beginning, otherwise the end result would be devastated. Some of you would probably say that, why do you do it so seriously, and why doesn't you just pour in the material? No, I'm a perfectionist. I want to do everything correctly and have an end result that is absolutely perfect, because every part in a model must be perfect for the model to be perfect. That is very important to remember. Treat every detail of your model as the most important detail, and you will have a model that is perfect in every aspect. Okay, like that. Now we have filled the molding box, the first layer, and this means that all the bubbles that could be trapped now on this master is gone. So we now can fill the molding box with the rest of the silicone rubber. But here is one more thing to think of. As you can see, I have no vacuum chamber, and the silicone here contains, I don't know if you can see it, quite a lot of bubbles. It's not so very viscous, but it contains a lot of bubbles, and there is a way to remove those bubbles without degassing it, and that way is to hold your container up very high, and then you pour a little strain of silicone into it, because this thin line, as you can see, will break up every bubble in the blend, so that the mixture that comes down is totally free of bubbles. This is quite an important aspect of casting. In every time, you always have to do this if you doesn't have the possibility to use a vacuum chamber or a pressure chamber, then this is the best way to do it to remove your bubbles. And the less bubble you have in the mix, the better your silicone mold will perform when you're casting in it. Remember that any bubble may burst when you pour in material that gets hot, and a polyurethane resin, for example, will do an exothermic reaction, so it will be hot actually, and that will damage the mold if you're not properly treating it when you're casting it. Take a little more perhaps, but I don't want to get over that ridge. It's very important to feel it very thin so that every bubble is removed. Okay, like that. I made a little too much, but I have to live with that. Okay, so what we have here now is a silicone mold for gravity casting. It is poured, and the most of the bubble was removed from the start, but as you can see, perhaps there are some small bubbles. We have some bubbles here and here and here, and you cannot remove every bubble in this mix because I have not gassed it and I have not pressured it, so bubbles will always be present. But that is something that we have to live with if you can't gas it or pressure it. But the most of those bubbles are very small and they rise up to the surface. And the surface in this case is the least important part. You can always give it a little shake to be sure that some bubbles here will move up to the top. Like this. Okay, so much for the casting of this. Now this brush has to be discarded because it's very hard to remove silicone from any material, actually, if you have a brush or something like that, but it doesn't stick to anything more than other silicone. Remember that. Okay, so much for this. I hope you will have found this interesting and that your own casting now will be moved forward. And stay tuned for more information from Model Maniacs, and I will return and show you the result when we are going to cast this one in resin. Have a nice day.